I'm better. Hello everyone, and welcome to my worst challenge. This weekend, I saw Fantastic Four. God, I saw Fantastic Four. Nearly everywhere you look online, it's just full of negative reviews for Fantastic Four. And they all say pretty much the same thing. Because here's what's going on. All the problems are so glaringly obvious that everyone is noticing them. Pretty much none of them have slipped under the radar anywhere. It's a pretty weird phenomenon. But unfortunately, it was to be expected. Now, it's really hard to watch this movie and not notice all the things that people have been hearing forever, like Fox's over-involvement with the shooting, trashing Trank's script, Josh Trank, the director, being a complete nutjob on the set. I mean, it's all pretty much splattered there on the screen as you're watching the movie. The beginning of the movie is actually pretty okay, with the young Ben and Reed bonding over their mutual weirdness. But there's this weird aspect where Reed's science teacher is treating him like he's some sort of little jerk. You would think his test scores would be through the roof and recognized for the mad genius that he is, but no, he just talks down to him and belittles him and just makes him feel like an outcast even more. But that aside, another couple good things, the acting's actually pretty good. The kids do what they can with what they're given. Now, I say kids because I have no idea how old they are. We go straight from Ben and Reed as maybe 12-year-olds to them in a science fair. And they're played by 20-year-olds, and they look like they're 20-year-olds. But they're surrounded by 9 and 12-year-olds. I have no idea what this science fair is. And again, we are given the science teacher who doesn't understand science. It's just a weird scene. Of course, most of the scenes are weird scenes that don't really add up to anything. Now, it's pretty obvious that this movie is heavily edited and huge chunks are missing because there's pretty much no character development at all. Just little spurts here and there, but a lot of them don't really make sense. A big standout to me revolves around the biggest controversy going into this movie, made by bat-crazy racists. See, they hired fantastic actor Michael B. Jordan to be Johnny Storm, which I'm okay with. And they hired Kate Mara to be Sue Storm, which I'm okay with. And then they add in one line of her being adopted, which I'm sort of okay with, but it actually brought up more questions that they didn't answer and would have made their whole dynamic more interesting. But the bigger problem is they have no brother-sister dynamic. If their dad wasn't in the movie and they never mentioned him, you wouldn't know that they're brother and sister. Not just because they're different races, but they just don't act like brother and sister. Tonally, the movie is all over the place, and I don't really know what to make of that. I mean, you could say it's the editing and the reshoots by Fox, but it just doesn't work. I cannot, in the movie that I saw, see a good movie anywhere, especially not a Fantastic Four movie. Now, a couple quasi-spoilers, I guess. So, if you don't want any, I guess sort of stop. They aren't going to be too insane. But, a weird scene comes where they slowly reveal the thing. He's sitting in the shadows, hiding as he's having a conversation, and then slowly he comes out. As if none of us know who the thing is or what he looks like. I mean, he's in freaking Denny's commercials. How are we not supposed to know what he looks like and be shocked by him coming out of the shadows? Reed Richards, another person, they don't really know how his powers work. He's trapped in the woods alone for like a year and apparently only learned how to shift his face but not control his arms really? You would think the latter would come easier, but no. Late in the movie, Doom disengages these weird contraptions he built for himself, and he has to struggle to pull himself together and use his arms like normal. And on to Doom. Oh boy, Doom. He's actually involved in one of the greatest scenes of the movie. As he escapes the science facility, he is literally blowing up heads with mind powers. But then suddenly he gets to the last fight scene against the Fantastic Four and can't blow up their heads. I mean, you could possibly write in something to explain that, but they don't. And the fight scene in a whole is just boring. It just sort of happens. Little bit, little bit, little bit, and done. Thing punches him into a beam of light and boom, no more Doom. This movie is what me and a lot of people call a fascinating train wreck. I mean, because of all the public stuff that happened in the background, it's really interesting to watch and dissect and try to figure out the backstory of why things are happening and why choices were made. So under that, guys, it's the only way I can recommend seeing it. Of course, I suggest not paying to see it in theater. It's really hard to pin down whose fault this movie is. And again, because it's so public, you can't help but think about it. And ultimately, I have to say it comes down to Fox. I mean, they hired Trank, they approved the script he was going to do, and then at the last minute, they just freaked out and took everything and re-edited at least a third of it, admittedly, and possibly more. I mean, they could have just picked a different director or gone in a different direction or something. And on that note, it's most likely Trank's version would have been better. Definitely better. But I can't see it being a good Fantastic Four movie. Fantastic Four should be this out-of-this-world exploration movie about science and the dangers of it that just happens to involve superheroes. Take sort of the Winter Soldier example. You make a political thriller, and then you just plug in Captain America. And it worked! Iron Man 3, buddy cop movie. Nah, now granted I had a few extra problems with that, but that's another thing entirely. So, ultimately Fox's fault. They dropped the ball, and everyone's sort of clamoring for Marvel to get the property back. I don't want Marvel to get the property back. They are already juggling so much. Where would they fit in Fantastic Four? Unless they drop one of the other existing characters and plug them into the MCU. I mean, right now they have all their Phase movies, they have 2 television series, and they're doing at least 4 or 5 Netflix series. Where are they going to fit it in? I'm fine with there being multiple universes for the Marvel characters. I was really hoping that Fantastic Four would be good and that they could cross over with the X-Men. I mean, imagine if they did make Fantastic Four a little more poppy and happy and crossing those characters over with the more doom and gloom X-Men. It would have made for a very interesting dynamic. Okay, so that's this episode. Janice, what's coming up next? What do you mean? Well, no. What am I paying you for? What? Really? Well, okay then. So that'll do it for me. Until next time, I apologize for nothing.